Hello everyone and welcome to the Nations Cup here at GLL. I'm Toby, joined by Saint, and we have got a ton of action coming your way over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be EU, it's going to be NA, and also brand new take on it. We have included Asia as well, and actually let's just get straight to it, because Saint, you covered that with Tala, and how was that whole endeavor?
I tell you, it was incredible. We had a match for the ages between Thailand and Indonesia. I think we had a game where we had a 10-minute gunfight where 40 people died in the same house. I'm not even joking. And then, straight after that, next map, we have a 6-kill comeback by Thailand where they fight around a rock on Sanok for another 15 minutes. It was incredible to watch. And really, I think that's a sign of things to come for the rest of this tournament.
Yeah,
particularly EU and America.
For sure. For those of you guys out there who might not know what the whole take on this Nations Royale is, maybe you're new to watching these type of tournaments. This is, I mean, if you know competitive PUBG, you know your squad formats, you know your super settings, forget about that. Completely and utterly forget about that. This is 32 versus 32 action, and I want to say that at least from what I've seen before, the meta is nothing happens for the first 10 minutes, and then when you go, okay, I guess I can just go to the bathroom, when you come back, that game is over, because once the first knock comes in, the entire world blows up, and the fight is normally over within a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we saw yesterday between, I think it was Cambodia and Thailand, 2 of the 3 games finished before 10 minutes. Like, that was how quick they went. Because they all just start, as soon as that initial fight happened, they just collapsed on each other and fought to the death. And
exactly.
It makes for such a chaotic 5 minutes in a game where there's nothing like it.
It really is pretty wild. Let's take a look at the brackets and see exactly which teams we have got for you today. Now, of course, there are a ton of matches playing simultaneously, and since we aren't octopus people, we can't cover multiple at the same time. So you can see right here, some of them actually already finished up as well. We are covering now Hungary versus Poland, and after that, we will be covering the winner of that match against Russia, who has already made their way past Bosnia-Herzegovina as well. Denmark made it through as well. I like that. Switzerland. Who do I know of Swiss PUBG players?
I know Switzerland has actually quite a big national level scene. There's
I was going to say, league, I can't remember.
I've never really seen them.
Swiss PUBG players.
There's Helen Fisher's fan clubs, I think, is the biggest teams in Switzerland. But they've never really progressed beyond a national level. But I'm looking at this bracket. Poland and Russia were 2 teams that got quite far last time.
Yeah,
I think they both got to the semi-finals last time.
Yeah, I see UK, your guys there against Portugal. We'll have to go up against Ukraine afterwards. Ooh, that's
our Ukraine game looks rough for the UK, but I think they should win against Portugal. You said, but this game right off the bat, Poland were one of the teams last time that looked so good as a team. So I'm really excited to see whether they can show off the performance they had last time and end this in a quick fashion versus Hungary before that really difficult match versus Russia later on.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, whether it's going to be Hungary or Poland that make it through to go up against Russia, that's going to be a good one. Russia has been, if not the best, then one of the, at least, very, very best teams in this tournament. My top 3 countries in this tournament that I've seen so far has been Russia, Turkey, and I want to say Greece as well. They've really been, I mean, just as a teamwork, it's as if, I mean, when you have 32 people playing together, teams have come up, well, nations I should say, have come up with very different ways of going about communication. Some use like both TeamSpeak and Discord. Some when we talk to some of the captains, they have very, very interesting way of kind of splitting up the communication. It's just one guy saying what everyone should do. Has he kind of found his generals underneath him that he can provide info to, and then they can give it further forward to their squadrons as well. There are so many ways of doing it, and I think that's one of the things that, to be fair, once you've got a good communication system, you normally also win more games.
Yeah, both teams here actually, Poland and Hungary, both actually didn't do as well in Season 2 as they did in Season 1. We saw in Season 1, if I remember correctly, Poland either made the final or semi-final, but in Season 2 they went out 2-0 to Finland pretty early on. So I think this is a chance for redemption, a chance maybe for them to update their strategy, because we all know this is chaotic, right? We all know this is the most destructive game mode this game has ever seen. But there is strategy in it. There's teamwork,
for sure.
And that is what will make some of these teams victorious over the others.
And that's the big thing too. I mean, it's how these different teams work around. Do we just go all 32 together, kind of smash mouth, try and run them down, or do we kind of split up into smaller groups and try to do some do some flanks, maybe some try to lure other like other opponents into a trap. I believe we have a leaderboard ready that we can take a look at. Let's see exactly. I mean, of course, no kills coming in so far. We're waiting for the game to start, so everyone will be at 0. And also, I am assuming that Poland will show up with a full 32-man roster, because I mean, we've seen before how just being down 2 or 3 players can literally be the defeat of you. So if they have to start the game 8 players behind, that's below optimal, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that 6-kill comeback that we saw from Thailand last night was actually the biggest comeback we've ever seen in Nations Royale. So it's 6 kills being one of the biggest. Like that suggests to me that if you are in this disadvantage early on, you've got to play some lights out PUBG to have any chance on any of the maps. And realistically, that Hungarian team has the firepower to shut down a team with a man disadvantage.
I'm trying to think back now. I believe me and D-Man casted was it 4 versus 18?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it was on Vikendi.
Yeah.
You know, it was on Vikendi, and they were playing in the rocks down by the water. It was Aaliyah, and I don't remember. But there was one of the most absurd things I've ever seen. They actually managed to win that. They all killed like 5 people each. And I mean, to be fair, the team that they beat, which I now cannot remember who were, it kind of gave it to them. But it should never have been won at all. You could see in the beginning, they're like, we're just going to run out and kill them. And then all of a sudden they started realizing, there might actually be a way that we lose this one. And that's then in the end what ended up happening. Well, let's take a look at some of the players here. I recognize right off the bat from Poland, Ghostar, one of the, currently as well, very, very talented player for El Giganten. Cappy with Black as well. A lot of names that we've seen before, looking over and across the Hungarian roster. Any names that stand to mind for you?
I think someone like Foda is probably the best player on that team. Like his team so consistently now. I think they made contenders one phase, but they've so consistently been playing around sort of the not quite pro level, the step below. But they've always been great. And Genesis as well, another team that have appeared every now and then and done quite well in tournaments. So there's definitely that firepower on the Hungarian team that could turn this into a game in their favor. But it does look like we have 32 Polish players as we see them dropping into the map.
We're all there. Normally, this is actually kind of interesting, because normally we'll see a pretty even either east to west split or north to south kind of split.
Yeah, yesterday we actually
up towards Milton.
We saw, I think in a best of 3, we saw a fight in Pachinki, a fight in Chubasera, and then a fight in Boot Camp. So yesterday there was a lot of hot shopping going on, and it sort of looks like we're going to have that again with Yasnaya and maybe with that military as well.
Yeah, could be. Not sure how things are going to go down, of course. I mean, it can be so difficult to really keep track of what's going on around you. So, but let's see now. BP looking around, trying to see what he can find. Nothing really available. I think he wanted to start sprinting out with his mutant, but then he realized, you know what, there might actually be more than one guy here. Might just want to play it safe instead.
Yeah, well, one thing is worth pointing out as well is you only see 8 people around you. You see the little marks above their head. So sometimes we get fights where people don't really understand what's going on around them and think there's more enemies than there are because they don't know that it's their teammates next to them. So sometimes you have to be really passive in these sort of situations. But I expect it's those 8-man groups dropping together.
Yeah, let's see. Blazik falls, first one potentially to go down. We don't know if this is going to be the end of him or if it was just a nugget. Does seem like Ace might be able to find him. Yep, he does fall. Weeder will. Oh my lord, that's a circle if I've seen one. Not only is it towards military, but it's also like 90% water.
Of all the ways to start off Nations Royale EU, we've got probably the worst circle in terms of getting to it that you could possibly have in PUBG.
Can we already now go out and say Hungary wins this just because they're actually on the island?
But can the rest of the team get to the island? Because if only the people on the island are the ones that make it, if Poland can take control of both ridges, then it becomes very difficult for that group around school, around Roshok to actually make it in. And if Poland can then push it to a big man advantage, they can just overwhelm the remaining Hungarian players and maybe find a way on.
Yeah, this seems like a... I mean, there's going to be some coordination needed for sure if you're Poland. Also, if you're the kind of the pile of Hungarian players up by Rostock and school, do you just immediately send it down towards that eastern bridge to get someone clear for passage, or do you maybe try and do a little backstab, or at least try to play somewhat towards the west to kind of either maybe kind of sheep herd the Polish players into a certain area that you want, or another way around? Is it just me? Are we getting music every time we're doing these flyover camps?
I have the volume turned so down.
You don't hear any music?
Let me turn it up so I can check for you.
It's like ambient music.
Oh,
If it's there, I love it.
That is relaxing.
Yeah, it's one of those just tea tours,
Turn the volume up.
flying around and enjoying the enjoying the landscape. I like it. Some tea tours while we're panning around. I hope it gets a little more dramatic once the fighting starts, because we don't want to
Hans Zimmer.
kill the people with their with sleeping too much.
We just fly past and people just start falling asleep. We're like what's the Jigglypuff, the Pokemon?
Yeah, exactly.
Setting everyone to sleep.
Can we call this guy Polish Squeaky? Because it's the exact same name, just spelled different, right? Polish Squeaky is trying to maneuver up towards his teammates. Of course, the creators there will be a little bit of a speed bump, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. I do like this. I mean, I must say, it's been a little while since I've casted Nations Royale. Not that I've been sitting any of them out. It's just been a little while since it was here last, and I think it's hilarious. I mean, also for the players, it's such a great way to just change things up a bit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a great change of pace. You go from the super serious game modes of Wingman, of your traditional squads format, and then you come into this where it's just chaos for 20 minutes. It's so much fun to play. It's so much fun to cast. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great place. And as we were saying, to be fair, this is more action early than we normally get. But to be fair, if we get a game where you guys go, oh my God, it's so boring, nothing's happening, and you decide to go make a sandwich, or you decide to do anything that is not sitting and watching, there is a big chance that the game will be over before you come back. Now let's see. It seems like a little bit of a pull-up has escalated. Poland already lost one. Now they lose two. Ace finds the second, and I believe there's only a few left from Poland. Now they got to figure out, do we want to commit to try and get the kills here or no? Because if they back out, that's them losing control completely of that eastern bridge.
Yeah, they kind of need to get control of one of them, Hungary, because obviously, as we saw, Poland had control of that western side of the map. So what they're doing right now, clearing out this side of the map, making it easier for that group around Rostock to get into the circle is really nice. And I would assume it's an actual strategy of theirs. It looks like they're going to have this area cleared up. Oh, scary baby. Cursed image.
If they added like a scream sound to that too, I would actually have fallen out of my chair. I'm glad they didn't. I think I'm the easiest person to jump scare. That's why I've never ever streamed and never will either stream or play like spooky games.
I stay away from horror. Yeah, not my thing.
I get more afraid watching PewDiePie play the old scary games than he probably did playing them. I mean, I can't do it. I cannot do it. It's just not my thing. Horror movies too, can't do it.
Talking of strategy for a moment, we look at this western edge of Military Island. We see Hungary set up a sort of beach defense. And I would assume they know that big group of Polish players is around the western bridge. And it looks like that group is going to try and converge on the eastern edge. But Hungary's already got there. Yeah. Hungary has control of both bridges now.
That's what I was saying. Whether the Hungarian players that were on military base itself, if they're going to push up towards the West Bridge, or kind of allow them to push on over. But they said no, bridges are ours. And you saw there were actually a few Polish players that managed to swim across. It's not enough, I think, to make a proper beachhead. But if they know now, you can see Put is there, and if they can kind of just make some sort of space, then that could potentially allow for teammates to swim across. Oh, gotta get up. Don't want to drown. Made his way up. He is getting shot at, though, as you can see. Not easy. This is D-Day all over again. You do not want to get caught in. Also, should probably remind him that it could be that he's on the wrong side. Let's see. New circle. Yeah, if this doesn't go military, then I don't know. But still, a scary lot of water.
And we have one Polish player on Military Island in the circle. One guy in the water trying to swim over. It's not looking good for Poland, because Hungary, not only have they got control of the south side of both bridges, but they still have that group around Milta that can do a lot of damage to the Polish players trying to rotate over the bridge.
Yeah, this is going to be damn tricky. And yeah, to be fair, right now I don't see what Poland can do. I want to see them do something, but maybe just say 3, 2, 1, everyone drives across the bridge. I don't know. I mean, Dark Dreams is making his way over to West Bridge, but they're still there. They're still holding, waiting for them to push late.
I want to see Hungary set up in Nova right now, because one way in for Poland is to get all those boats on the eastern side, fill them up as much as possible, and get into the city. But some of the Hungarian players are getting peppered here by the Polish players. The Polish player that has made his way over. One-man army.
I was going to say, I mean, did he really want to do that? Because now that might alert some Polish players to go up and check, some Hungarian players to go up and check. This is just, I mean, this is like Dunkirk and D-Day on top of each other. It's
the worst of both.
It's Dunkirk trying to get back to England, but when they go to England, it's like a portal. They've been sent back to the beaches of Normandy. It's just not good. To be fair, though, they are surprisingly effective. They're taxiing each other across right now.
We have to think that boat's going to be low HP. You can see the smoke coming out of it now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, now
and
they
they
beat
beat
it
it.
too. Yeah, okay.
This western
So,
group, it does look like maybe 10 Polish players have got across and got onto this western edge. But then you open up the map and you see that they really don't have any map control whatsoever. And that's a feature of the game that's been so important for Nations Royale, that map control.
Yes, you gotta really try and make space for yourself. Let's see now. Of course, BO Watches, the official sponsor of timekeeping of GLL. I like it. Timekeeping. Circle does go down towards Hungary, and I'm just not seeing how Poland gets the footing here. I mean, what do you do?
I don't think you can do much.
Can they swim across without being
What's going
seen?
on?
I'm not sure.
And the worst thing is they swim across, and Nova has already been taken. It's occupied by the Hungarian forces right now. The garrison holding strong on that eastern coast. And realistically, there's only 3-4 ways into Nova. You have the two really exposed beaches, or that one little bridge.
Imagine this. It's like you have a school assignment, right? And the way that you remember that you have it is that it's one of those, hey, by the way, remember to turn in your papers tomorrow. And this is just a D-Day. Like, it's as if they had to plan a D-Day invasion in one day and they forgot to bring the boats. There's nothing they can do really to make anything happen here. As I say that, Papa, you needed to get at least 1, maybe 2 down, but they're already down by a ton of players. I'm literally not seeing. Sometimes circles can be your winning factor, but having said that, there are some Polish players trying to make a play here. Yeah, exactly. They did manage to get a bit of a footing. Circle is still working against them, and there's a long way to go, but let's see if they can make something happen here. They're only down by 4 now.
And you don't need the circle if you can just kill off the Hungarian players, and they've got a lot of people knocked right now. Although it says 28-24, realistically, you're looking at something that's pretty much even. But the problem is half the Polish team's locked on the northern side of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, as you said, there's no way they can really help. They have to start swimming eventually because, the water is going to kill them if the opponents ain't. And then the blue is probably going to help at that too. So gotta commit to it at some point. It's just a matter of having one guy say 3, 2, 1, go. Cappy spraying around. Okay, so Poland does have a bit of an answer. It's still going to be a hard push because, as you can see, the blue is working against them, but it's not impossible. Not impossible at all.
And given how one-sided this looks, they're doing a really good job of keeping the kill feed honest. At least, not necessarily in their favor, but at least pretty much 50-50. They're clearing out this western side, but then round 2, there's another boss fight to come.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the main issue right now. These numbers that you see in the top are kind of baiting you because half the Polish team is not here. They're all, if not still in Milta, then probably somewhere deep in the water right now. And that fight, you would have to assume it's going to turn around at some point soon, because I don't think there is more than 1 or 2 Polish players alive on the military. I'll make that 3, maybe 4 Polish players alive on the actual military island.
This is like shooting practice for the Hungarian players set up in the houses now. All set up on the edge of the zone. And realistically, these Polish players don't have that much loot because you don't have long time to loot in this game, especially when you need to get to military island. So they're running out of meds, and you see a lot of people going down to the blue now.
Yeah, that is not optimal. Poland, they did try to make a way across. They're throwing smokes everywhere, trying to see if there's anything they can do to get across. But Hungary, they ain't gonna allow it to happen. There's only 3 players here. I want to see how we're doing with all the players in the water. Have they actually made their way over, or are they still struggling to go anywhere? I'm seeing names. I'm actually not seeing any names in the water. Could just be the names removed at a distance. But I am seeing some players towards Novo that seem like they've gotten on land. But at the same time, I'm also seeing a lot of players dying as they get on land. So 7 players alive. I think we can call it that Hungary is going to take game number 1.
I think we know this isn't Poland's game. That's a Kobe. It's not a Kobe. It was a Kobe, just not a very good one. 21-5. That's 3-4 make it. That's a rough game. But realistically, that's the sort of thing you'd expect. You're sort of gambling on it and not going military if you don't put any presence on there.
Exactly.
I'm surprised that we didn't see like one team go to the military base and one team go to Novo and then just duke it out to get control of the island.
Yeah.
And the fact that Poland didn't go down there meant that Hungary could just take control of both bridges and lock Poland out of the circle.
Yeah, true. It is one of those things where if it doesn't go there, you're blessed in knowing that the opponent has a lot of players they need to transfer over. But at the same time, as we've said before, if you don't have any control on military, when it does go there, I just feel like it's worth the risk. Because you can always, when it's not military, you can always just stall it and make sure your teammates from military come to you. Whereas, as we can see here, the other way around, it just ain't that easy. And now they all have to look for Kartoffel, which means potato in Danish. Probably means the same thing in Polish, I would guess. he did make his way to the shore, to be fair. Kudos.
1v21 clutch.
Yeah. He needs the first in order to get the other 20.
He also needs some medicine by the looks of it.
Not
got much
stopping to
HP.
heal. He's sending it all the eyes on you, Mr. Potato. How are you going to do this?
Got a lot of
Potato
respect for the fact that he's actually trying. He's 1v21 and it looks like he wants to go for it.
I mean, there's no reason not to. This is free screen time, free real estate in terms of putting together your YouTube highlight wheel.
I mean, if this was like a 1v3, if there was 2 teams left in a squads game, we just see the last guy go walk out into the blue, maybe try and get 1 kill first. But this kills don't matter. The kill differential doesn't matter. All that matters is winning the map. So you might as well go for it. And if Hungary are going to start team killing, then maybe it's going to get a bit easier.
Yeah, true. I mean, if he can, maybe that's what he's planning on. If they just all kill each other before I get there, then there might just be a chance that I turn this one around.
This is where he just wins the game 0 kills, isn't it?
Having said that, I doubt that's going to be the case. And also, I mean, it's one of those where it's funny, but at the same time, I mean, to be fair, he doesn't even have his guns out, so it's not like he's trying to stay hidden. He's full speed sending it, trying to make his way towards the circle. But this could take a while, even though there are 21 alive. Could take a good while.
You know when you watch people play stealth games and they do like no kill runs, no kill playthroughs of the game. That's what he's doing right here. Doing a no kill playthrough of PUBG. It looks like right now he's technically winning.
Yeah.
In the last 30 seconds, more Hungarian players have died than Polish players. So
true.
Kartoffel's winning in my mind.
I like this strategy though. Ace is like, you know what? I mean, there's no reason to run around. Let's just drive until we find. Oh, does he see him? He didn't see him. Feels bad, man.
Kartoffel's one with the bush right now.
I mean,
he's in the circle. He's got map control.
Drive around and figure out where he isn't. That's gonna also help out in terms of probably narrowing down where he could be. I think this is just stalling the inevitable, though. He has made his way to the center of the circle. I'm actually surprised no one's found him yet.
Out-rotated.
He's literally in the center of the circle.
He's out-rotated Hungary. What can I say? He's got the map control now.
And they
just needs to wait
haven't seen him. They still haven't seen him. He's become one with the Hungarian team. I'm surprised he's only seen one opponent. Oh, there's 2.
I mean, the thing is, like,
he's gonna
punch him, please.
I have no idea he's coming.
Imagine being Pinyoka getting punched to death. He's got to do it.
It's perfect. No,
got the gun.
Come on.
No, don't use the gun. Sneak attack.
Oh, it's perfect. You should have panned him up. This should be the downfall. He does get a kill. Ooh, there comes the car. I don't know. Was it actually Foda from inside that car that killed him? I don't think it was.
It was. Foda got the kill.
It was. Jesus.
The flying drive-by.
Gets the final kill and 1-0. To Poland, or to Hungary, I should say, in what probably could have been a game that ended 10 minutes ago. I mean, to be fair, it kind of could have ended as soon as we saw Circle 2 pop. But anyway, an interesting one at that. And sometimes, again, if you don't have any military presence, I feel like that's rule number 1 on a Rankle in particular. If you don't have any military presence and it goes there, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's the same with like on Sanok with that northwestern island. If you don't have control of it, you need the other team to make some massive mistake for you to have a chance. But we did actually see Thailand manage to break their way onto that island yesterday. So maybe there is a way that this could have happened. The opponent could have found a way in, but I just don't really see it. I think Hungary approached it really well.
Yeah, they did. I mean, and also just staying out in the blue for a little while longer on that western bridge, because normally it's one of those, the circle is coming, they ain't coming, let's just go back. And then 5 seconds later, you see like 20 vehicles come sprinting across that bridge, right? So
normally you don't have 32 players to set up on both bridges, but it's perfect for Hungary. Yeah, as you said, they had control of both bridges. They also had that northern contingent that was able to sort of control the Polish players coming in and making sure that the few that did make it to the bridge were low HP or their cars were low. So when they did get it, they just got wrecked.
I like to play. Might as well finish in style, flying your US out. And also, I mean, kudos again to Kartoffel for actually managing to make it all the way, not just behind enemy lines, but like in the center of the circle, running past multiple opponents. Interesting game at that, must say.
Yeah, a bit of a chaotic one, but I want to see a pan from Kartoffel there. I think the fact that he didn't pan, we should just give an extra map to Hungary, because the spirit of the game is not quite there from the Polish players.
That is true. But guys, that was game number 1. We are going to go take a short break, then we'll be back and ready with Miramon a few, so stick around and we'll see you in just a moment. A pretty straightforward win for Hungary, puts them ahead 1-0 over Poland, who on paper potentially should be the team to win it, but the circles wanted it otherwise. I'm back with Saint, and we are ready to bring you more Nations Royale action, which will last all night. It's not just going to be EU, we'll bring you NA later on today as well, but there's a little while until we get to that point. Welcome to anyone who just tuned in, and well, Saint, we talked about the circles already, but what do you make of Poland's, let's say, somewhat realistic chances of winning that game, if there were any?
Well, yeah, the circle made it very difficult for them, but there were signs of life, right? We saw that group that was able to get onto the island actually had a really good gunfight where they did come out in favor, but it was just that sheer overwhelming numbers from the Hungarian side because they had their whole team on the island that just gave them that advantage. So I think the next maps will be closer, but we'll see soon.
Yeah, we'd have to assume that there's going to be a little more fight put out from Poland. Leaderboards here, you can see the individual stats are coming in. Ace is taken. Managed to get 3 as the only player, actually, surprisingly enough, in the game. Of course, I mean, you go, oh, but how can he not get more than 3 kills? Is there's 32 opponents? It's so easy. You'd actually be surprised because it's rare. It is kind of rare that we see anyone. I want to say if one player can get 5 kills in this, that's pretty impressive, because every time you peek, you got to remember, every time you peek, you will most likely have like 6 or 7 players looking at you as well. So it's not the easiest to go out just to get a billion kills all over the place.
Yeah, at least in the case of Nations Royale, teamwork makes the dream work, right? If you can get all your players having an impact on the match, you can have a much more successful time than if only 8, 9 players are getting those kills. And we saw yesterday in the Southeastern Asian games that pretty much every player on Thailand was getting 1, 2 kills across a best of 3 series. And then the teams that they were beating so comfortably, it was less than 10 players that were getting those kills. So that nice spread from the kills is something you want to see. You don't want to see those players having to have that heroic impact.
Oh, for sure. Let's see. We are headed back to the battlefield this time around. We're headed to Miramon. Once again, there's a bit of a entanglement, I should say, over towards El Pozo. It's trying to make sense of it, because when you're jumping out as Poland, you gotta see there's 1 billion parachutes that ain't with you, and also down towards Leon, it seems like teams are tangling up a little bit. Back when we first started doing these, it was very quickly that teams just went, you know what, okay, they go east, let's go west, or they will go north, let's go south. Both these 2 games have been a little more on top of one another.
I wonder if maybe there was a bit of communication in the past where people, there was sort of a gentleman's agreement that we'll go drop, we'll get our loot, and then we'll have a, the honourable faces each other fight.
Wow.
But this time, every man for themselves. But that is a Polish circle, which should be balancing what we saw in Game 1.
Maybe it's gonna make it difficult for sure for Hungary to go do anything. They have to move early if they want to have a chance of making plays of that. Because if Poland can go up and not only take compound control but also maybe get all the high ground spots, you can't go anywhere as Hungary without the opponent knowing exactly where you are.
Yeah, and it's also very hard for Hungary to rotate, right?
Yeah.
You look at the map and you see there's sort of a line for the Polish players that is blocking the Hungarian team from getting to that northeastern side of the map and trying to rotate through your San Martin area to your Krudoval area, water treatment area. So realistically, all of Hungary is going to have to swing on that western side and come up through Pozo to get to the circle, which if Poland can set up properly, they should be able to shut them out.
You would have to think so, but of course, what we say in terms of what they should do and what happens, especially in Nations Royale, it tends to by no means be the same. We can do all the planning ahead of them and say what they should be doing, and then when it comes to them actually trying to pull off something, it tends to either work very much against us, or sometimes we've seen too where they do something completely different and we go, wait, that might actually have been the smartest play in this situation. So let's see what they do. I also love that they have a scout down on Los Hijos, just
in case.
For the sake of what if the circle went down there, which we now know it did. And also you can see, obviously, circle settings are not the same as they would be in your competitive PUBG on a normal scale with the super settings and whatnot. It is Nations Royale circles, and they force players to move to somewhat smaller patches early on.
Yeah, I think the earlier circles are smaller and they close a little bit faster just to try and speed up that early game, because that is a sort of trait of Nations Royale. Usually phase 1 and 2 are pretty slow unless you have those the chaotic crazy circles of Millie Island and sort of the northwest of Sanok. So by speeding up this early game, we get to that chaotic point earlier on.
I'm trying to think back, Saint. Have you played in these tournaments before?
I commentated season
I know
2.
I know you casted it, but have you?
I
never
think I
played
did one
Nations
map of
Royale?
season 1. Yeah.
Okay, how did you like it as a player? Because I don't have any. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I don't have any playing experience when it comes to Nations Royale. But I've always had the pleasure of casting. But I would like to hear from a player's perspective how you enjoyed it.
Well, the comms are crazy, right? You've either got 8 or 32 players in the same Discord call just going off constantly. So it's a very unique experience. But realistically, it's just a bit of fun. You know, you're playing for bragging rights. You're playing for the glory of your nation. So you're just there to have fun at the end of the day.
Let's see, fight was gonna have to happen at some point in the post, so now it has. No kills coming in so far. Filling managed to get back on his feet. The ALB player. Let's see now. Hungary trying to respond. There's a a Winchester enhanced one of the Polish players, but seems like it's not going to be put to use at least not for now. And also, there's a knocked player, and no one, at least for right now, is committing to try and get the rest done. Is well, he has a chance to run over, but at the same time, there's a lot of Hungarian players, and there he falls. First player down is going to be Polish.
And this gunfight is really important to set the tone of the game. If the Polish players can collapse and get rid of that Hungarian contingent in the circle, they can get that early player advantage and just sort of close out the game by trading their way to the victory. But if Hungary can get a little bit of a play advantage, they offset the fact that they don't have the circle. And they find a way where eventually they can just overwhelm the Polish defenses and break their way in and maybe win map 2 as well.
Just be a chance. Done. Looked around the corner. Nice double peek coming in. But as I say that, one does get knocked. And this is something you'll see. I mean, if you have players that are normally in a team together on your squad, you probably see that a lot when we go over to watching the likes of Russia. I know Norway have a lot of players that play on the same team, so Denmark to some extent as well. They'll more often they'll also be the ones that run around together in these tournaments. So you have 2 teams of 4 running around together where they have already kind of worked out the communication and whatnot in between them. So you know that you can, as a general, rely on them having good communication in between.
Yeah, and trading is the name of the game in this. If you can get those 1-for-1 trades, as long as you have that earlier player advantage, you know, just purely mathematically, you're going to win the game. So if you're working together as a team, even in those small groups, and just getting those 1-for-1 trades every time, preventing a player from getting 2 or 3 kills before they go down, that's your path to success.
Let's see now. Seems like Hungary has found a way up there. But having said that, they still need, I want to say, almost half of the troops to make their way into the circle. They seem to have been somewhat cut off. There are Hungarian players in the mountains. It's just a matter of how do we get the rest of them up here. They do have the numbers advantage right now overall, and that's a buggy where someone forgot to pull the handbrakes.
I do that so much these days. I think they changed it a couple of patches ago. You're gone.
Managed to stay alive.
He's good. He's hurt his ankles a little bit, but no permanent damage, luckily for him. So should be okay. But yeah, they're in a bit of a rough spot down in that ridge. If the Hungarian players start peeking over, start looking down, there's not really any cover for the Polish players down in that ridge. But for now, it looks like they went unnoticed.
Goes down. This is probably one of the better vehicles, to be fair, when you're playing 32v32. You can transport more people. And
he's gonna get the buggy now.
And it has better durability, but yeah, probably get the buggy. I was gonna say it's good for like a transporter, but
but then you drive it around, and then you find 8 people that are shooting at you. And just blow it up instantly.
Maybe it doesn't matter too much anyway.
I think in this we see once you get to the circle, a lot of people abandon their vehicles and just start playing on foot and just taking it for gunfights. Because realistically, especially when you get to phase 3 and 4, everyone's so congested that you can have like 5 or 6 people shooting in your car at any one time.
Yeah, we've seen how fast 2 people can destroy a vehicle. If you have 15 shooting at one car, it's pretty much going to blow up before you even notice it's being shot at.
So we've got Squeaky's going to escape from this Hungarian trap for now. He has low HP though, so if someone does get the line up, they can get him down. A bit of a gauntlet run. That's a treat. I don't think he's long for the world.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But having said that, this is exactly what Hungary needs to try and kind of push some of these players out to make a little bit of a footing for themselves. But looking at the map, you can see there's one chunk in the very middle of the circle, and then you have the players south of it. The Hungarian players need to push them away somehow in order to have their Hungarian teammates come up to them.
You know, the Polish team have that encirclement. They have the siege sort of in place, but the relief force from the south is coming up. And Hungary now has a 4-player man advantage. And we've spoke about how important those small man advantages are now. If Hungary can keep that for the rest of the game, it's going to be so difficult for Poland to come back. But that is a really nice kill from Ghost Star to try and limit the impact of that man advantage.
Yeah, you pull those things off. Great player, as mentioned earlier. They are trying to cut them off. Let's see if it's going to pay out or if it won't. They might be in for more than they can chew. And you can see they're just sending it. I mean, the Hungarian players that were down towards the south, they literally said 3, 2, 1, full speed forward. Now they're making the whip there. But this circle has gone far east, and I think this is going to be a first come, first serve. And if you're Hungary right now, you might just want to keep driving.
Yeah, if we were ever talking about a circle to reset the advantages that the circle was being given, that's a perfect one for it. Both teams now on the edge of the map, both teams with no control over the new circled area. So they need to find their way in. But I think a lot of the Hungarian players now have lost their vehicles, whereas Poland seems to have a few more around. There is a couple buggies here or there that they can use to get around, but realistically, Poland should still be first to the circle, should still have first dibs on the compounds, and it's up to Hungary, with now an only one player advantage to make it in.
Yeah, they have managed to swing around, take more control. You see some of the Polish players trying to get down now, but that's way too slow. The Hungarian players have already gotten out of their vehicles and already started to shoot. Will they be able to get safely up the hill? Yes, they will, but not with the vehicle intact. More Polish players trying to wrap around. And to be fair, in my book, they should have been doing this as soon as the circle popped, because they would have been down in that position, Poland, then now.
Yeah, and it's whether you want that high ground or whether you want the hard cover. I mean, for me, if you get both, obviously you're going to be in a much better position. But I like the fact that Hungary has sort of taken that little fort down on the crossroads, because that hard cover means that when they do get knocked, they can't really get flushed unless they make a big mistake. The Polish players, though, do have this high ground, do have this hill. Should be able to get that res as well, I think. So if they can stay up with a lot of players on this hillside, then they should be in a good place to lay into the Hungarian team when that circle does go away.
Exactly. Remember, there's still a lot of Hungarian and Polish players north of what we're seeing right now as well. So it's also how they manage to impact it. Hungary, as you talked about before, if you can take both high ground control and get some compounds too, you're in it for good. And that's exactly what Hungary is trying to do. Half the team is down in the valley, and the others trying to keep them safe from above. But it's kind of gone the same way for Poland. You can see Alchemy here trying to wrap around. He is alone, which is a little dangerous in my book, but he might be able to make something of it.
Usually, if you're a solo and you're in a traditional like squads or duos game, you can come in, do a little bit of impact on a team, maybe get 1 or 2 kills, and then run away. But he's going to run around a corner into 10 people.
That's an interesting shift. What do you do here, Hungary? You got to send it. I mean, you got to full speed send it somewhere. I'm just not sure how or where you go.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cases where you just have to go for a crash, right? You have to crash something as a big group and just pray that you can out-trade your way into that compound or out-trade your way into those ditches. Because realistically, Poland has a lot of control of this area now. And the remaining group on this western side, once Hungary drives down, they can shoot them in the back.
Yeah. Let's see, Poland are trying to reposition, at least to some extent. Vehicle comes around, picks up Alchemy. I like that he didn't shoot and like kind of expose himself in that way. He just give the info, run back, and now you can rotate together. And if you're Poland, as I was saying, you got to send it. And that's, I think, as you can see right now, what they're doing. There's a compound on the hill. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, and it looks bad with Poland having a lot of control of that high ground. But if Hungary gets all of the road around it, realistically, they can push up that ridge because there's not going to be players behind shooting them in the back. So they can actually use that big ridge for cover. But talking of cover, Black is on his own here, stuck in a little bit of hardcore. He gets the initial knock, but he gets traded instantly by Creator. And I don't think that flash will come in on Triers either.
Nope, there are enough opponents that they could lock him down, even if those manage to get one knock. So once again, Hungary gets a foothold in the circle. Now it's up to Poland to hold them off. This is the second time in my book that they've kind of let Hungary in. They could have just swamped downhill and taken control of the compound, but allowed them to drive forward. It has taken away what was high ground position before, though, for Hungary. Let's see if they can fight uphill here.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Poland have favored that high ground over the total control of the area. But it looks like it's favoring Hungary overall because they've now got control of nearly half the map. And they have the player advantage, and they're pushing towards this group of the Polish players that are now locked in that small compound. So it's looking good for Hungary. Poland needs to pull out something magical to bring this back.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw this last circle shift, I don't think there was a single Hungarian player inside it. So a little surprising to me they're saying, so did we just get 4 drops in a row?
I've just looked at the map.
Is that 4 crates landing next to each other? Oh, it's flare guns. Okay, so it's all Polish weaponry coming out here. Will it be enough for them to turn it around? Though I'm not quite sure. We can see Hungary again. They are all playing down the hill, but they are also the ones that are getting all the kills right now.
Yeah, and realistically, that number is more like 27 to 20, 27 to 19 at the minute, as there are quite a few Polish players knocked, and it should be 2 more down. There's the first, there's the second from Magnum, and there's no one there to get them back up, so that should be 2 kills the way of Hungary.
Yep, nice double spray coming in. Nate won't be doing damage, but there's no one near that shack. And I mean, Hungary is just 1 knock at the time, making their way up this hill. As I say, that Cappy does manage to find 1. Magnum will fall. But they need to keep pushing, and well, it's working right now, so might as well just keep at it.
But Poland's having a bit of resurgence here in the kill feed. We see a lot of Polish flags right now. They're getting those knocks as the Hungarian players try to flood forward. But a lot of the reses are coming in. Poland's not able to flush the kills out.
Gotta be able to turn it around if you want to get up this hill when you're Hungary. But as you were saying, I mean, I think Poland committed quite a few players to hold the flank here. And all of a sudden, it's kind of been spun around. We even in numbers, but of course the knocks aren't counted, so it can fool you to some extent, but it seems to be rather even now regardless.
Yeah, this kill team led by Ghost Stars set up a really great attack here on the Hungarian push. They've got a lot of players down now. I think 3 or 4 more, and knocked, and it's realistically out of the game. So you're looking at this, and maybe opponent have found a way back into the game.
Yeah, it is very even. This fight could be the deciding factor in who ends up winning it overall. Ghost Star continues to peek over the top, continues to find knocks, doesn't want to go for any flushes before he knows for a fact that he's safe in shooting. And I like that. Don't overcommit to peeking, just get flushed. Some players might be going down in a moment anyway. Now that he knows, let's say that he thought there were no more opponents, then he tried to go for the flushes, but wasn't gonna happen. And you can see Foda here and Power Dog, they're just the committed medics on this team, running around risking everyone.
Yeah, you have that players at long range that are providing the covering fire that's enabling Hungary to get their firepower back up. And now the Polish players are outside the blue, and there's the free kill. Ghost Star got like 4 or 5 knocks, but wasn't able to flush any of them because of the Hungarian protection, and now they're falling apart.
I like the play. Hungary, they had dedicated medics, and I think it was 5 or 6 players that Foda and Power Dog managed to get back up on their feet. This ain't gonna happen, Foda. You gotta just keep going. So impressive play to potentially actually win the game off of that, because as you can see, the numbers are kind of sort of going in favor of Hungary as more and more of the Polish knocked players are starting to get flushed. I think there's only 1 player knocked for Hungary right now. Yep, that's Box Bop. He went down just now. Foda in the car. Will he be able to accelerate up that hill? Just exactly.
And this is where you need to see the Hungarian players just start grouping up, place those death stacks, and just wipe out the little pockets of Polish resistance. Because realistically, as long as they're trading 1 for 1, they're just going to win the game. But if they start spreading out, they start taking those individual gunfights, that will provide a way for opponent to find a way back in and win map 2.
Exactly. Paulos trying to hold once again. I mean, the circles are continuing to go in the favor of Poland, but they haven't really been too good at receiving them. Paulos shoots over. It's going to be Alchemix to get the knock, though, trying to tie things up in what on paper should again be a Polish win, but they are split quite thinly. But so are Hungary down towards the southwest side.
Yeah, Hungary's sort of got the tiny ridges on the western edge and the southern edge, and that's all they have. They are in the circle for now, that little bit of hard cover on the edge of the compound. But as soon as the circle pulls away, the Polish players should have a big advantage in terms of the gunfight, and they have brought that player advantage back to 10-9. So realistically, it's a hard ask for Hungary to find a way through this. Poland was effectively able to control that hill. They got a lot of trades, particularly with Ghost Star, laying into the Hungarian team, and that's really saved them from what was initially looking like a Hungary win.
So now Mixu looking over the top. What can you do in a situation where if you peek over, 1 billion people shoot at you? I think given that they have the circle control, they're just going to wait and see that next circle hopefully go east.
Yeah, Hungary needs some Polish players to get a bit aggressive, get a bit of an ego to find a way back through this, because they need to find some kills. But that little rotation into the middle of the map, if they can survive long enough in those smokes, then maybe they could do something with it. But I'm not liking the look of this.
That's suboptimal, I guess we can say, without offending anyone. I think this might be a 1-1 by the looks of it. But it's not over till the fat lady sings, as some say. It's Poland still has the positions that they need. I mean, if you're looking at percentages, they're sitting at something like 70% of the circle right now. So I would call this a Polish win, but we never know. We never know. There still is an open hill to push down should it go towards the south.
Yeah, Poland have been giving up a lot of map control in the previous circles. I'm curious whether they might do it again. But it's looking like that kill feed is going in the way of them. Hungary is starting to fall apart now. There's this little expeditionary force that got to the middle of the map, just has no cover now. But some of the knocks are coming in Hungary's favor. They have got those people knocked on.
It is. Looking at the numbers, it's a... What is it? It's got to be 6 versus 8 if we try to count up knocked players as well. I only see 1 right now, and I think the rest is coming in too. So 7 versus 8. In 10 seconds, we'll see the next circle. And if it goes east, you'd have to consider this a Polish win. But if it doesn't, who knows?
I think if Hungary can find a way to get rid of those 3 players on the west, then suddenly it becomes a bit of a 50-50, right?
Yeah, exactly. If they, the thing is, they cannot push up this hill without being shot at from the other side. So in that way, they have a really nice kind of pincer going on, the Polish players. But if they can get just 1 or 2 knocks, they are only 3 over there. So if they force 1 to go for the rest, then that might help out. But make sure, as you can see, they're never really over peeking anything. Just peek, get back down behind the rock. Peek, get back down behind the rock, because they know how important their position is.
Yeah, and Hungary's scout, the only Hungarian player that was in the circle, got taken down from the hill finally as well. Yeah. He ran out of smoke. So I think this is all she wrote for Hungary in map 2, unless they can pull off something heroic.
You would have to think so. They need to start landing something right now because, nice shooting. Because if they don't, I mean, not only are they getting shot at, but the circle is also going to start moving in actually right now. So phase 7, tons of damage coming in, even though they're only down by 3. It's looking grim for the Hungarian team. And as we were saying, I am very convinced this is about to go into a 1-1.
He's got a 6x M249 just to lay it into them. They've got 2 players knocked. Make that 3. 1 player left for Hungary now. And I don't see a way he can pull this one off.
Nah, ain't gonna happen. He's gonna go down. Hungary eliminated. To be fair, they put up a great fight. Poland looked like they didn't want to win it at most times because they were so slow on reacting to what happened around them. But they managed to bring it home regardless. Circles kept going in their favor. And yeah. Sitting tight now at 1-1, which was a bit of a better showing for the Polish team.
And I think those first 2 games really show that maybe Hungary is the team that is the better of the 2 right now, at least in this game mode. Because when Hungary had the advantage in map 1, they turned it into a dominant win. But Poland, despite having a pretty significant advantage in that circle 1, really struggled to close it out. And only because I think there was one really significant shift that came away from the Hungarian team to really place the game in the hands of Poland. They still nearly threw it away. So yeah. I'm making Hungary the favorites, I think, based on what I've seen of these 2 maps.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. I mean, as I say that, I'm not quite sure. I mean, we saw actually this right here. I think had Ghostar's team been able to get the wipe on them on the hill earlier, this would have been over much sooner. But I'm gonna leave it up to the next game. I believe are we heading over to Vikendi? I believe we are. The next map, I believe we should wait and see that. Well, maybe that will be the telling factor as to who's more deserving. Remember, it is a best of 5, so it's not winner takes it all. Next map, they will have to win the next 2 for us to determine who's going to be the best one at that. But interesting first 2 games. As I see, no, it's actually Sanok next. It's Sanok next. And which is your favorite map, Saint, of these for this map purpose, of course, of Nations Royale?
We've not seen a Vikendi yet on broadcast. We didn't see one yesterday because we had our angle Miramar Sanok. But if I look back to the games we saw yesterday, Sanok was crazy. It was chaotic. But most importantly, it had the best game I've ever seen in Nations Royale between Thailand and Indonesia. So I'm hoping we see something similar in the next map.
Okay, Sanok, we'll see. If is it all going to be boot camp control, or is it going to be more of a spread out endeavor? As you said, I mean, that first circle can really be the telling, especially if it goes to one of the small islands of who's going to win it. But we'll wait and see. 1-1 is the score. We'll be back in just a few. The score is 1-1 as it looks right now. We don't really have a saying of who's going to make it through to the next round, but we are getting two, I want to say, somewhat curveballs now, as we have Vikendi and Sanok coming up right after one another. Sanok being the first one of the two. And I want to see, I mean, Vikendi, because we know we're going to see it no matter what, since it's 1-1. I'm just thinking, how many people, Saint, can you fit on one train?
You probably get the whole server on the train if you try hard. we'll get everyone on the train and have a melee fight. You know,
kill train. Yeah, that'd be like, I'd be seeing that. Could be interesting. We are taking a look now at the leaderboard after last game. Let's see. Prorix, 6 kills. Great effort put up by him. You can see Ace taken also. Doing a good job with kills once more. Cabby on the other side managed to get quite a few as well. And yeah, I mean, of course, when we head into a 1-1, things will get tied up to some extent in terms of who's the kill leaders as well. But interesting to see so many being able to once again go out and find kills.
You know, you see 25 players on the Hungarian team have had at least a kill impact on the game, whereas only 18 of them for Poland's side. And I think that's a testament to the fact that Hungary were able to turn around the disadvantage that they got given with the circle in that game. Yes, they didn't win game 2. But they really, they at least put on a good showing. Whereas you look at game 1 where Poland really got destroyed. So I think based off that, we can look at this Sanok game and think Hungary should be the favourites. But Sanok can throw up pretty much anything. Sanok is the madhouse of PUBG. So anything could happen right now.
Well, it's been such a pleasure casting a PUBG tournament where there was no Sanok games. I don't know how it is or why it is, but the broadcasts that I've had now, where we do Sanok, it's felt like the day was over. Or when we don't do Sanok, it's been feeling like the day was over faster. I have no idea how or why, because it hasn't been, but it just feels fast. And the first kill comes in on this knock. That's a gun I haven't seen in a long time, but I guess it works out pretty well when you're up close to an opponent.
Yeah, I will say this is the only game mode that I enjoy watching in PUBG on Sanok. Right? Like,
yeah,
and duos, I'm not a massive fan, but Nations Royale, this map just takes the chaos that the game mode naturally has and turns it up to another level.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was talking in sense of your normal competitive PUBG. Now let's see. Circle, let's go down towards the south, and once again we have Hungary, all with the island, I should say. But I feel like what they were able to do on military or on Wrangle 2 games ago probably won't be the same on Sanok.
Yeah, big difference with Sanok is you can swim, you can walk through some of the water as well. So it's so easy to get across those rivers that realistically you would have to spread out in a long line, every player on their own to take control of the whole river. So I think realistically Hungary should try and take control of the sort of the high ground of those compounds that we see time and time again be so successful in the more traditional formats. If they can stack their players in those positions with that early advantage, then they're going to be in a good position for this game.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they decide to do it. I must say, I mean, Hungary has, at least to me, been the ones that have been the quickest at responding to new circles and to how their opponents are moving around, where the Polish team, at least in the first 2 games, have been a little bit slow. And I feel like the team that has that advantage, like the team that can do that faster, usually also it's the team that ends up winning, unless if the circles really want it the other way around. So I want to see Poland do something like kind of already now, because they should at this point, with the loot settings the way they are, already have weaponry that is good enough for them to start making moves.
Yeah, we saw a similar thing happen between Thailand and Cambodia, where Cambodia had an island advantage, but Thailand just sent a strike force to quickly take control of a bridge and provide a way for their circle, for the team to get into the circle. It does look like Poland has control of the bridge sort of to the north, where the river crossroads, and they're starting to get some kills as well around that sort of area. These early kills, pushing that early man advantage in their favor, should mean that later on, when they do try and breach onto the island, they're going to be in a little bit of an easier position.
Excellent. And Co found one, and also he's going to be able to get back up on his feet. So 30 versus 30 kills come in on all sides. But as I was saying, so far, Hungary has the majority of the control, but they have seemingly opened up the entrance up towards the northeast and allowed for the Polish players to cross over. How are they? I want, because they've kind of just backed off. They haven't really done anything to try and contain them to the northeast. But also, of course, Sanok is a game where you need somebody down south, because if not, then all of a sudden 20 pirates come sailing around to the south side, and then you're screwed from there too.
But I think we see on Sanok, the circles are often quite predictable, right? They tend to go in similar areas of the map. So I feel like maybe there's a game plan by Hungary that, yes, they're not going to control the areas that Poland needs to come through, but if they can take control of those positions that we see time and time again, be the final circles, and lock Poland out of those areas, then maybe they can just win later on in the match. We might see a bit of an extended early game, a bit of a slower early game than we're perhaps used to, at least for the first two maps. But I think they should push to a grand climax, maybe phase 4, phase 5. There's going to be complete chaos.
We'll see how things are going to pan on out as these teams are trying to make their way across. Seems like they haven't really, as much as they've managed to push on over up towards the north, down here towards the south, they haven't really dared to just do the same push because, as they probably assume as well, there's a welcoming team once they do make it across. So find as many as you can and then push at the same time. I think that's a pretty good strategy of making your way over. Crate lands in the water. That might end up being a bit of a bait crate. Let's see what's hidden in it. A lot of goodies, an arm, an MK14. That's yoink. Not exactly bad stuff.
Yeah, hidden at the top. I think there was a second arm as well. So you go there, you're setting up your entire fire team to work at range with two arms and the best DMR in the game. Mm-hmm. So anyone that finds that crate is going to be loving Life Genesis, going to get the MK14 arm setup, which is rare, but I actually think that's the best combination of guns in the game.
Yeah, to some extent I would agree with you. The MK is not exactly a bad gun up close either, but it's damn difficult to control that spray. Maybe that's just me being a pleb.
Oh, there's a lot of Polish players going down in this area. The vehicle is well stopped, and Zloty's in a bad spot. If Hungary can keep control of this bridge, can stop the Polish incursion, they should get a bunch of kills here, and they deny that map control that opponents so desperately needs.
Yeah, needs to hold him off. Squeaky taken from the map by falling. That's suboptimal. Might have full speed sent it into something, and then the buggy got the better of him. Seems like that might have been the case. He's crawling back into Camp Charlie, hoping that some Polish teammates will be there to help. And this is where we need that Polish force from the north to push on down towards the south and help out there, because they could theoretically just run all the way along the shore down here and maybe do somewhat of a backstab towards the Hungarian players. They need to do something. You can see they're actually pushing in now. We're going to have fights on two fronts.
Yeah, this is where the generals come, earn their metaphorical money as they plan the attacks, because you go back to like actual wars that have happened in the past, and if you just attack on one side, then the entire defensive side will just move their army there. But by hitting from both sides, you divide the defensive army and you conquer them.
Hungary. How are you planning on doing this? How clean can you keep the communication and not just be, they're here, and then everyone having to mute each other? I would assume, I don't know why, but I would just assume a lot of people end up muting things when they try to play this, because how can you focus with 31 people trying to say where opponents are all the time?
We saw with Indonesia that the little 8-man groups actually stayed in their own Discord calls, and it was just the captains of each group that was in there. Like I think they must have been in like a TeamSpeak or something. So the comms were kept less chaotic by that. Yeah. But I'm looking at this circle now. We've just seen phase 2 pop, and that is a very Hungarian-favored circle, because Poland only really has control of that northeastern edge and an area of the map that's not actually in the circle.
I would like to see Hungary just swamp, like say instead of trying to fight on two fronts, just run up north with the squad they have down towards the south. And I think that's actually kind of what's going to end up happening now. I can see all of these players traversing down towards the south. They have to run into them, but they also have to be aware then of a potential backstab of the southern players that they allowed over.
And I want to see this Polish group on the southeastern side find a way to get towards the sort of the cow area and then backstab that main Hungarian force. Because if they can maybe isolate the northern side of the Hungarian army, if they can find a way to hit them in the back, then maybe there's a way in. But if Hungary can just set up this defensive line and prevent any push from Poland from working, then realistically, only one team's going to win this.
BL threats. They have found them, but he's also realized that he might be outgunned by sitting here on his own, so they're going to fall back a little to the rest of the teammates. There's a little bit of a valley point in between them, but they should be able to hold off pretty well. Gotta give it to Poland, though. They've been able to get a pretty good foothold on the on this island, given that they actually didn't have a single player here to begin with.
Yeah, there's a couple knocks that came in, meant that they could push much closer, meant they could get control of these little hilltops And realistically, that's something you want to do. You want to make those little incremental steps, right? You don't need to make one massive push where you get all the way to the center of the circle straight away. But if you can take these small steps, get like 50 meters, 100 meters further every time, eventually you get to the position you want. But that's a very Hungarian kill feed right now.
Yeah, they're holding off pretty well. They need to try and flank around. You can see Ghost are trying to do the exact same thing, but on the other side, trying to get some more info as to where the opponents are coming from. But that's also where Stana comes in as quite of a troublesome map to play on, because it's just difficult to really get a hold on info as well. The tree is behind the bush. It's so damn difficult to get proper info, whereas to on the Wrangler Mill, I think, so they're more spread out.
Yeah, you see from these individual perspectives how little vision you have. You can see at most 50 meters in some directions. And realistically, you have to stay pretty much on top of your teammates so that you don't get isolated, so you don't get caught in the jungle. And when you start hearing the trees talk, that's when you know you've got your enemies nearby.
Exactly. We'll see Hungary. They've held off for now, only up by 1. They do have 1 knocked as well, so it could actually be a tight game in terms of how many are alive on each side. Creator peeked on over. Heard a lot of bullets come his way, so I think he's going to think twice about peeking that again. He is going to allow for his teammates to get back towards him. And as you were saying before, the circle went somewhat towards the west, so might as well, if you're Hungary here, just chill out for now and play it safe.
Yeah, this hilltop's great, but there's like 4 or 5 knocked players around here at the minute. So if Hungary can't keep control of it and this Polish team can just overwhelm it, then suddenly Poland have that strong position. So they need to hold on, need to hold fast as the rest of Hungary comes to support them, because this compound is crucial.
What do you do here if you're Hungary? You cannot allow for those like the Polish, if you can see, they've kind of split it into 2 groups. You cannot allow them to get around you. You cannot allow them to swamp you. You need to hold them off somehow, but there's not enough firepower up on the northern side to do so. And also, you can see down south, the remaining Polish players we saw before has actually managed to wrap underneath. So as much as Hungary didn't want to fight on 2 fronts, I mean, if the southern part of the Polish team decides to push up, they can't really get around doing so.
You know, at the minute it's all quiet on the southern front, but if that sneak attack can come into effect, if they can get all the way around and strike in the back of this main defensive force for Hungary, then there's a way for this northern side opponent to overwhelm that side, split the Hungarian force in half and win this game.
My only thought is Hungary knows and knew at the time that Poland were split. So why not just full speed Leroy Jenkins your way north to take a fight to Poland, where you know you have the numbers. If you can make this 2 individual 26 versus 13 fights, then that would be a lot better than trying to do like they do them at the same time, but fighting them like with your back turned.
It definitely feels like Hungary's priority right now is compound control. You see them set up all hard cover around the map, and maybe that's a false sense of security. Maybe the priority needed to be to take those gunfights early on and push the man advantage in their favor. And potentially the fact that they've not done that, as you said, could be the way for Poland to make it into this map.
We'll see. We'll see if the hardcover is going to grant them what they want. Sanok has, before proven to be a compound favoring map, at least in terms of who stays alive to the end game. But when you're 26 versus 26, it's not always that little house will grant you all the pleasure when there's 15 people sprinting down towards it.
Yeah, the strength of houses in a traditional format is they get you into the placement points. But there's no such thing as placement points in this. It's 2 teams. All you need to do is be the last surviving team. So it doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter whether it's just 1 player that survives. As long as you make it to the end, there's 1 point in your favor and none for the other team.
Exactly. Kills don't matter. Nothing matter other than the win. Poland. Are you continuing to wrap around? I thought they were going to get a little bit of a, not a foothold, but kind of sitting tight in Sami and wait for potential circles to go down south. But them running further around, I mean, at some point, Hungary has got to spot them. You can see now better start shooting. They must know for a fact that Poland is split into 2. And we talked about how Hungary is a team that have been reacting faster. I still want them to do something. Let's see. Box pop. Looking around.
Was I muted? Sorry.
You were muted. I was waiting for you to say something, and then nothing happened, and I just continued.
I was trying. My apologies, but what I was trying to say is I'm surprised that the Polish team haven't made their way across the road. Haven't got into Sami and taken control of it next to it, because there's a lot of map control that can be gained by taking that position. It's the highest point on the map. It's the best position. And now with this circle, get in Sami, get in that city. Perfect opportunity to take control of the middle of the map and to lock Hungary out of the only hard cover left.
And if you are Hungary, push the hell up towards the north and kill those guys. Now you know for a fact that you're up against a split team. Go kill them. Get that double individual fights, and outnumber them instead of trying to do what you're doing right now and kind of let them kind of push you from both sides.
Yeah, but this little the Polish force rather on the north is in such a tough position, and there's already a 4-man advantage in Hungary's favour. So if they can turn that into a 10, no matter how much control Poland has of the Sami area, just that sheer, if they can get a 2-1 advantage for Hungary, they could just out-trade their way to the win. I don't see a way that the Polish players can hold on over such an overwhelming force.
Shots being fired. It's all the damage that you can do at a distance now. That's going to come in real damn handy when you come up against the full team close and they don't have vests or helmets. Vanti hops in the vehicle. Did get headshots. Going to take a lot of damage. 3 damage per tick, I should say. With the circle the way that it is right now, it's only going to get worse as it's closing on in. We've hit the 15-minute mark, and I mean, normally these games are over before 18 minutes, especially in Sanok. So let's see. Will it be over in 2.5 minutes, you think?
I'll give it 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Not 2.5. But it's not going to be much longer, I don't think, because the Polish players are starting to fall apart in the blue zone. They're running out of meds, running out of HP. And realistically, it's a bit of a feeding frenzy right now for the Hungarian players. We see 4 players. Oh, what a headshot.
Yeah, they're all trying to make the run down from the north side. And as I said, I mean, as I hope they were going to as well, try and hold them off before we push down towards the south. Now, they have managed to separate it into 2 individual engagements. And I feel like that should be the winning play for Hungary. Whether or not, though, it's going to work out, we'll see. They don't have control of the city. And if you look at the kill feed, it seems like Poland has pretty good control of what happens down towards the south.
Yeah, but there's just such an overwhelming force now for Hungary. You see that massive death stack that is on this northern side. The little Polish scouts here. Paulus, if he can get a couple of players down, then maybe there's a chance. But he can't hit the shots. He just about gets the knock, but he's instantly getting traded by Weedy Twins, who is doing work with that M4 right now.
Vanti shooting over the top. Thought he saw something. Indeed, he did. And instead, he revealed his position and was taken down immediately. 420 around the corner. Gets the flush on towards him as well. Will back off immediately after. And not only has Poland managed to control Sami, they've actually also managed to push out north of it. Are they too split now, though, given that they don't have the numbers advantage? I'm not sure. They need to land some damn good shots, that's for sure.
Well, opponent has a really good defensive line right now. They've locked Hungary in this northern edge of the circle. And yes, the player advantage is in Hungary's favour. But realistically, they're going to have to start running through the Polish defensive line. They need to find a point they can break through and get into that Sami area. So maybe that southern force that Poland got in, that was able to wrap around the Hungarian defences, might be the route to success. And they've got control of the hill as well. So they're in a good position, but the kills are starting to come in favour of Hungary now. A bit of a 1-for-1 trade, but that's not good enough in Poland's case. They need to get more than that, and it's just not happening. Hungary is starting to run over them.
Yeah, there is simply not enough firepower on the side of Poland to hold this off. They've made their presence known over the hilltop, and now, I mean, this is exactly what they have to avoid, right? Poland had to take this fight before the cavalry arrived from the north side of the circle. Once Poland allowed for Hungary to take this, make these 2 individual fights, they simply don't have the numbers. I mean, that's where you can say, oh, but the other team might have some bigger name individual players. Sure. But when you're 7 people shooting at one guy behind a rock, I don't care which pro player it is on your team. He's not going to win it.
Yeah. And the remainders of the Polish defensive line have now set up in their houses. There is a chance. You said before it has happened where it's such a one-sided game has swung in the favour.
It was actually the exact numbers, I believe, for the 18, but I do not believe that Elgik both I should say, and his comrades from Poland has the position to do it.
One of the Hungarian players flushed out one of the teammates, and Skipper has got another one as well untraded. If they can start to pick off these players,
that's taking.
If the Hungarian players start to get a bit of an ego and start to push in, looking for the kills themselves, just like it's happening now, but the trade eventually and goes
that's the issue, right? I mean, with every one player that Poland loses, Hungary needs to lose like 4 or 5. So Skipper is actually putting up a good job. But again, now he loses 1. Now we're down to 2 people holding up against 15. Better and guard. Good luck. You need it.
Yeah, I think they need more than luck right now. They need Hungary to start making mistakes, and Better's not listening. Gets shot in the back by Prorix and the 1v15.
I think that was the case of a lot of comms in the chat at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be the greatest touch I think we've ever seen in a game if this happens, and it does not. It gets the knock onto Prorix, but in the end, Hungary closes out the Sanok map.
Yeah, interesting fights coming in there. And Hungary, I mean, they did have the better position initially, but I got to give it to Poland. It was clear to see they came up with ideas as to what to do. They had the two-way split. They made a smart crossing over. They just never really then committed. It was like they were all sitting there with their hands raised, throwing in suggestions, and everyone is listening to all the suggestions, trying to do something, but there was never the one guy saying, okay, now we're doing that. And it became kind of a half thing done there.
It kind of felt like Hungary got so focused on that northern fight that they weren't really looking south. Yeah. And that remaining force on the south was able to sneak around, able to take over the map control. But the overwhelming forces came out in favor.
Exactly. I mean, what Poland should have done, when Poland realized that Hungary didn't really give a crap about the guys that were moving around on the south side, just chase them. You know, they have their backs turned, focusing on the fight up north. Just run up and start shooting them in the back. Maybe you can get an element of surprise and get a few knocks going your way. That could have turned that fight around. But they were kind of just waiting for their northern half of the team to die and then say, okay, I guess now it's our turn to go, what was it, 12 versus 24? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, once again, it kind of felt like Hungary were the better team. Like they were working better in those little small units. Every time there was a knock for Poland in the kill feed, instantly it was traded back. We saw it at the end as even. Like Cipriano would get 2 here and then just traded by the third player. It always happened in Hungary's favor, and it just wasn't quite working for Poland.
No, but there's just always enough. I mean, there's enough players looking at you when we come down to the numbers that we have now, 4 versus 18. There's gonna be, you can get 2 kills. He could probably have the third knock there as well. He was still been killed. I mean, there's no way around that. But that was Sanok. We're headed over to Vikendi next. It's gonna be the first Vikendi with Nations Royale I've ever seen. And I mean, if they don't use trains, I'm actually gonna tilt a little. Because now they're there. You damn better go on one. Hop into Dinoland as well if you want. So we're gonna take a short break, guys. We'll be back and ready in just a few. Two, 1 in favor of Hungary, who once again show that their timings are a little better and their commitment to decision making also seems to be taken into effect a little faster. We're back with more Nations Royale. It could be the final map of at least this round. Poland, they need to. They need to turn that one around if they want to win it. Saint and of course we also got to say real quick, there is a lot more games going on. There's a ton of games being played right now. You can see the brackets, I believe, if you go over to GLL's homepage. But let's take a look at the leaderboards, as Prorix now has made his way up to 8 kills. It is a continuous leaderboard, I should say. So it's not that he got 8 kills last game. It is overall, and we still have, what is that, 23 down through 32 players from Poland who has yet to get a single kill in 3 games.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to why Hungary is doing so much better. Why they're 2-1 up now, because they're all having an impact. Even the players that I know they were at least involved in the game. Right? They were at least having some sort of influence. It kind of feels like Poland. They have a lot of like individualistic groups to break off, and then maybe get 1 or 2 kills as a group and all just die off, and then they slowly get picked apart by that more cohesive unit of Hungary. And I think that's why we've seen Hungary now take 2 maps.
Yeah, we'll see if they can get the last one as well. We are headed over to Vikendi. For those of you guys who have been living under a rock, Vikendi has been updated. As you can see, some of the snowy patches has been removed, and also we have a train. Just give us train cams all game. I want to see people on trains.
I kind of feel like if whichever team uses the train should just get given an extra map. Just like
what if they both use trains though?
Does that just mean Hungary wins?
Oh yeah, true. They'll be 3-2 immediately.
Train and they just won.
Jump on a train and you win. It's one of
It'll
those.
be a really interesting and bad game.
Both, yeah.
Interesting bad rule set.
That too. That too.
A better rule: if you get on the train and get a kill from the train, you get kills.
Ooh,
we'll have to make it like 5 or 6. Then there's an opportunity there. You can say,
I mean, could happen. We've seen Navi do it in competitive PUBG, so I don't see why these guys shouldn't be able to do so. Once again, doesn't seem like any gentleman's agreement has been put into play in terms of who lands where. The circles, though, continue to be on the edge. This one down towards the southwest, and well, to be fair, right now it's an open buffet. Everyone has a chance, and there's your train. Toot toot. Nobody on it though. Feels bad, man.
And I think with this circle, although it is right towards the edge, both teams sort of have a foothold. Hungary on the eastern edge, Poland sort of more towards the northwest. So both teams have an opportunity to get quite deep into the circle. This might be the one where we sort of see that slow early game that we've been talking about is a trait of Nations Royale. But it might be something that climaxes into something incredible for our first broadcasted series on the new map.
True. I should tell you real quick, as you can see here, some of the trains do what these trains do. Just as a little train explanation. Some of the trains do what we see here. They have their end stops and then they start going back. There's also one train that goes all the way around the entire island and just continues and continues and continues. And I have to inform the players as well, because sometimes they forget. It goes counterclockwise. So actually, if you're sitting up on the north side right now and you want to make your way down inside the circle, that could be your transport of choice. It's faster than running, slower than a car, but you can move around and shoot while you're on it. So that should be maybe an idea for transport. We'll see if anyone opts to go with it.
Yeah, I can guarantee you, at some point during Nations Royale, we're going to have someone get on the train, think it's going to go clockwise, and then just get taken into the blue.
Yeah, exactly. You think so. You think so.
Downland, I kind of feel like in the new Vikendi, Downland's one of the most important places to have control in something like a Nations Royale. Because not only is it massive, and there's so many places you can sort of hang around in, but if you see this circle in particular, if you have control of that area, you have a lot more control of the map than you'd think.
True. Sorry, I'm eating while casting. That is very unprofessional, but I was given a piece of pie, like very, very freshly made pie, and I just could not, in my heart, wait for it to be cold. So I had to at least taste it before it got cold. But we're back. We're back and ready to get in them. And yeah, I mean, as you were saying, Downland, of course, has not only changed in layout, it's also gotten marginally bigger. So if you can lock down that entire area, I agree with you completely, especially in circles like these. It's a lot of terrain you get full control over, and a lot of entry points, I should say, to the circle that become that much harder to really make anything happen from. Here comes one of the first rotations from the Polish team. They are, of course, not in trains, which is sad. Maybe they're driving down to the station. One can hope, right?
If they're not, kick him from the server.
Kick him! Get rid of him. Kick him! It's okay that you take a car if you're just driving down to the train station.
Yeah, that's the only acceptable rotation you can make in this game. But, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that little eastern pocket of the Polish forces.
Yeah,
I'm like, how did they get in? Where did they go? Because all the bridges are controlled by Hungary. They could do like a massive wrap, go all the way around sort of the edge of the map and come in on the western side and maybe group up with the rest of Poland. But if they do stay split, we saw that really didn't work out in last map when you had the two separate Polish forces. The combined weight of the entire Hungarian force was just able to shut them down.
Yeah.
So I want to see them group up. I want to see them sort of employ a Hungarian strategy to this.
Oh, that's bad timing. That is not the rock you want to hit with your vehicle. Killers is gonna get found, I would think. Yep. Prorik's gonna get the first kill of this one. Molotov's thrown over the top. Not gonna do too much damage. And now, one of the interesting things that I've heard from people on Vikendi in particular is there are not a lot of DMRs. Yeah, you will see a surprisingly high amount of bolt actions, I believe, in this game. You can see already now Ribbons actually with a Kar 98.
And also, a lot of SMGs. They seem to be quite viable on this map. Particularly the MP5 is actually a really nice gun, I think. It's a really fun gun to use because it just has like no recoil. So it's pretty much a little laser beam in the hands, especially in the hands of a good player like Ribbons. Can do a lot of work with this thing. But ultimately, at least on this patch, I know the next patch, the SMGs are getting a nice little buff. But on this patch, you'd still be favoring those M4s.
You would have to think, let's, you know what, now that we're here and we got a little engagement going on, Black Finding 2, let's have a little insight to exactly how things are going down in the Hungarian team.
Vannak, vagy nincsenek?
Kocsiznak.
Felszedjünk titeket? Máté, meg
Nem.
Laci.
Felszedtek.
Szálljunk, ez van.
Ja,
valami-
velünk van.
De mondok volt egyet, az kimolózza magam. Hova lehet menni?
Gondolta neki elég? Elég az egy kill.
Hát itt ezt a kompót kéne, ezt a kettőt kéne elvigyük, nem tudom, baszki.
Velünk van.
A szélét azt nem tudjuk letartani, itt szerint, mert bent vannak dinóba.
De itt
Jön a
nincs
vonat.
ez.
Hát tudja a rák.
Jó, backtrash.
Megnézzük.
I must say, now I don't speak nor understand Polish, but that is some very calm comms they've got going while there's a massive firefight going on.
Yeah, you'd have to think that they're only in those small little like 6-7 groups, and realistically, that gunfight did not look great for Hungary, did it? So the lack of communication, either that was the reason why it went so badly, or there's just these groups. But we see this house is suddenly becoming really important. People are going down all over the place, and Poland are holding on for now.
So while the train wasn't that interesting, the train station became the focus point, or at least the building right next to it. The lowest value in per economy building. They're really living next to a big road and a train station. That's kind of unfortunate, but there's fights going on. You talked about dino lane control. That's what no one cares about right now. Everyone is wanting to fight each side, but I mean, despite the fact that the numbers are in favor of Poland, look at how big a chunk of the Polish players are nowhere near the fight going on in Hungary. If they can get there fast enough, have a pretty good chunk of cavalry coming up to help the guys in need.
It seems like the Hungarian team are employing a bit of a Zerg strategy. As they're 6 men down now. If they can get rid of this entire eastern contingent of Poland, then suddenly that swing is completely in their favor. So they need to make sure that they're not losing players when they make this push. But if they can make the push and the Polish reinforcements don't turn up, then it's a great thing for Hungary.
You can see they're all sprinting up the hill, trying to help their players and our teammates. And I was just gonna say they gotta be seen at some point. Right now, they do have eyes that there's at least 1 or 2 people coming over, but do they know that it's pretty much the other half of the entire team that is sprinting up towards them? I think Poland. I mean, they might get caught off guard here, despite having an eye in the south side.
But for now, they're holding on. The kill feed is all Polish right now. It's 8 men advantage now with the kills. Further finally stepping in, but there's so many Hungarian players that are trying to make this push, and it's just not working out. The defensive force is holding on to these compounds for now, and it just feels like the Hungarian push isn't as coherent as we saw in the past. They're not working together. They're running in one by one, beating those kills, and now it's just starting to look really one-sided in Poland's favor.
Let's see, Cabby looking for kills, trying to stay put. I think they're starting to realize now as well, the Polish players, that they're a little outnumbered. Give me a scope, damn it! Is that how you say that in Polish? I'm not sure.
He dropped an ATEX. I think he wants the 4 for the ATEX on the side rifle. But when you look at this, half of the Polish forces are actually AFK in the middle of the circle.
So what do you do now if you're Poland? Do you continue up to try and help, or do you expect because if they end up dying now, you still have to think that Hungary would have the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this. There's high ground to the southwest as well of the Hungarian forces. If Poland gets control of that, they can just start shooting all the Hungarian players. They get control of those ridges. But for now, it doesn't even look like that side's needed. The diminished forces of Poland seem to be holding on pretty well.
Yeah, it's
pretty effectively. So maybe that southwestern force are just the backup, the second army in case things go wrong.
In case it doesn't work out, as we say that, there's a little bit of a turn in numbers. And now Percival came around the corner. Great effort put in there. And again, as you were saying, I mean, they're pretty much fighting just a half team. It's just Poland are holding up really well.
Yeah, I mean, every player now is at least getting their 1-for-1. They had that advantage, and they're turning it into a bit of a blowout. Still, the Polish forces are finally getting defeated here. There's only 4 or 5 left, but they've done so much damage. They've taken out nearly 2/3 of the Hungarian roster. I mean, even if it's just that group in the southwest now for Poland, they're still in an advantage compared to Hungary.
Let's see, Hungary trying to run further around, get the rest back up. They are outnumbered by 7, and as you can see on the minimap in the corner, that remaining Polish players that opted not to go help, they have to change their minds and are now making the push, and you would have to think that this has to go in the way of Poland. But having said that, I mean, it's not impossible. Only 5 down so far. I actually make that few less because, as we know, as you guys might not know, in these game modes, the knocks don't get counted. So there could be 18 alive for Poland. 10 of them could be knocked though, and we wouldn't know it if you just looked at the numbers feet there. So Circle pushing in now as well. It's going to make things, of course, quite a bit harder. And I gotta say, I haven't seen anyone use the trains. Maybe that's why things are going the way it is.
And that was a nice little double kill there for Hungary, bringing 2 players down with no one traded in return. But they're all out in the blue now. They all presumably have pretty low meds because of how long that gunfight's been, and they all need to find a way into the circle. And the circle's literally come to the other side of the map. Where do they go?
What do you do here if you're Hungary? They're all starting to die to the blue now as well. Oh no, Dark Dreams is just exactly inside the circle. Gets found by Foda as well. Foda has been in that kill feed a lot of times. And look at the numbers now. All of a sudden, things are starting to tie up a little. A lot of Polish players going down to blue has kind of even out the numbers. And I mean, right now, Poland, despite being 2 players up there all over the place.
And this kind of feels exactly the same as that Miramar match, where despite Poland having the advantage in terms of map control, despite having a player advantage, they tried so hard to lose the game. But this time, it looks like maybe Hungary's found a way to actually help them achieve their goal of
I did not expect Hungary to actually come out of that one on top. That is very surprising. And see, Poland has kind of admitted defeat in the first battle and said that, you know what, you won the battle, we might win the war. They've just backed off. That is a Foda is sending it. He's going faster than anything I've ever seen. That is very, very fast driving.
They are literally on the other side of the circle. Like, quite literally. As far away as they could be. And they're all on speed.
And they're only 1 in each vehicle. That's what's surprising me a little. They need to get cars for everyone, not just have one guy go alone in a vehicle. Of course, I mean, you don't want to get blown up and have everyone die, but you need to go pretty fast. And you need to go inside the circle too. It's just a matter of maybe having to send one scout out and actually find a path that's going to allow you to get there.
Oh, but if one of those vehicles get blown up, it suddenly swings so massively in Poland's favor.
Yes.
These 2 cars need to be so careful about where they go. But if they can get around Poland is only really set up on the eastern edge of the map. So if they can get around and get control of the middle of the circle, maybe there's a way for Hungary to find a way in.
See, Foda. Once again, getting kills here is going to go down in the end, though. Try to spread the secret to help out and maybe say to all the opponents, I'm over here, while making sure that his 4-man vehicles were safely put inside the circle. And I think it's actually worked out because they all managed to rotate around the northern side and get inside.
And it's only a 3-kill deficit. We saw it in the last game that a 16-kill deficit was too much. But 3 kills, I mean, really, that is something you could turn around, especially if you start to get that control of the center of the map. You get the next shift, that 5th circle. If that sort of comes west, suddenly it's a pretty even game. These rocks, though, should be a really strong position to hold, especially if it stays in.
I think so, yeah. You would have to think so. 9-11. It's I don't see any knocks right now, so this could actually be the numbers that we're going to see the next fight go with. It could still go either way. It's going to be one of those, like 1 or 2 knocks to initiate the fight. Could be a telling of who's going to win it also. 5 seconds to go until we see next circle who's going to win it. Now we're pretty even split. Northwest to southeast. How is this one gonna go? We're gonna keep it fair, at least for now. There is, I want to say, a little more circle, at least presence control for Poland. But if we count in the no man's land in between, and we for good measure say that that's the Hungarian terrain, then I want to say it's like a 40-60 in favor of Poland right now.
And you see that Hungarian compound is all the way up on those ridges, so they have a lot of vision, a lot of sort of presence on the map. They're a lot more than it looks. Because they're on the high ground, they can sort of shoot the players that run underneath. And also, we saw all these players rotating vehicles, right? The Polish players, by and large, came on foot. They were already there, or they ran back from that initial gunfight. So maybe there's a way for Hungary to outposition the Polish forces and maybe find a way to close it down in 4 maps.
Upside down car, not going to be useful for much longer. Probably don't want to be driving anyway. They have simply so they have committed 1 player down towards the south, and there is, as far as I can see, an MK14, 2 Mosins, an M249, and an SLR looking at him. So if he can bait the attention of 6 players while the players up towards the north do something like we see right now, that might actually be a strategy worthwhile. We've seen it so many times before. Turkey in particular really good doing this, where they commit 1 or 2 players to just be the bait and force the opponents to turn their backs. Because if you can have them with their backs turned for just a couple of seconds and then engage in a fight, you can swing that momentum in your way very easily. We saw it just now. 2 kills coming in, things are now tied.
Yeah, that push was massive. Not only did it swing the map control back in favor of Hungary, it also got rid of that man advantage. Poland not able to get any kills in the trade, so suddenly it's an even game. I'm looking at this now, and I think Hungary are going to take this.
There's a good chance they will, and remember, if they do, it's set and match, and they'd be making it on to the next round, which is going to be against Russia, one of the very best, I would have to say. At least what up until this point in the tournament have been one of the very best teams in the tournament. We'll see, of course, if that's going to continue as we start things out. The MK, love the sound. Put to good use. It's only a 1 kill advantage, and we'll have to see how things are going to continue on from here.
Yeah, but there's really an out of the frying pan into the fire moment. You get the Russia in the next round. You've just come out of playing Poland, which is a team with a lot of competitive experience. There's a lot of players on here that we've seen in those tournaments. And then you come into a team where, as a region, is the most stacked region. There's so many players that have been in the pro leagues, been to international events. So it's going to be a tough one for either of these teams, for whoever makes it through.
Exactly. I'm going to let you cast for a little while, saying while I get my feet fixed here, because I have lost the visual of what's going on. So I'm going to let you be the one in charge of what's happening right now.
Yeah, we've entered into phase 6 now, and we're looking at that circle. It's been fairly favorable to Hungary. I mean, Hungary has the middle of the map. I'd say probably a 60-40 in their favor. But realistically, there's a lot of opportunity for Poland to still find a way, and they still have that southern control, as I've now also lost my feed. So I would commentate. Actually, I have like a 10% feed in the top left. So we'll see a little bit
That's
of a
enough. That's enough.
between a solo, I don't know who, someone and someone else.
We're back 9 versus 8 in favor of Hungary. As again, I mean, our solo player, Monkey, who's been down there the entire time. That crash, you just missed all your bullets, and you might be going down on return. Stays alive for now. Gets some Molotov thrown over. No damage done with it, though. So somehow, he stays alive.
How has this guy been alive for so long? They've known where
Yeah,
he
I don't
is
know.
for about 3 circles, and somehow he just, by hook or by crook, keeps finding his way into the zone. He's got a little box now that's his only friend, but he's not in the circle. And so realistically, you can probably treat this as more of an 8-8 than a...
They're leaving him as well. He's like, nope. Nope.
Auto kill now. Or
Let's see if he can get something. Oh, it was a bait all along. It was a bait. Finally, he falls. It's going to tie things up when the flush comes in. And now is, I believe, I mean, the next circle is going to pop in 50 seconds, but for now, it's going to be who's the better aimer? Who's the better bolt action fragger? Because that's all we have right now.
Yeah, now it's about economy, right? It's about taking off that armor that the other team has. If you can pop people's helmets off, if you could get rid of their vests, make them use all their meds, then that later gunfight happens. But in reverse, if you're over peaking, if you keep getting knocked, then it's going to be really hard for you to have an impact on those later fights. But we spoke earlier about how important those rocks were in the south, and this is really a great example of how that extra high ground that they have compared to this Hungarian compound perhaps is that little advantage they need to close out this map.
Let's see next circle. Just 15 seconds to go. 8 versus 8, as even as can be. Level 3 helmets are going to come in real damn handy now because, as you can see, a lot of bold actions looking each way.
Yeah, it's you peek, you've got like 4 sniper rifles looking at you. Your head is going to get popped. So it's a bit of patience now. See where the circle goes, and still both teams in it. But you have to look at that and think Hungary's got the better position now, as Poland are going to get forced off those rocks. They need to take control of that eastern side.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm actually not sure if Donnick can push further around to the northeast, maybe, if they can run around there. You can see shots are being fired down towards him, but I'm not sure if there's a bit of a ridge he can maneuver. Nah, you'd have to think that's open terrain. Unless if they can bring a vehicle around, unless they can get smokes around with them. There is actually... Okay, so there is a bit of a ridge line down there, but that's still going from one edge to another, and I'm not sure how much that would really grant them. But there's a crouch/prone position they can play from the northern side. It's just a matter of how the hell to get up there.
Yeah, you have to try and encircle this compound. Just get on those trees, I think, and just wait out the phase. Try and survive long enough that Hungary is forced out this compound, because for now, that hard cover means that even if they do get knocked, it's so hard to flush them out.
Let's see. Trying to run across. Barely a vest left, no helmet. As you were saying earlier, the durability of these things could be the deciding factor in who's going to take it home. Trias, aggressive on the roof. I like it.
That helmet's going to be massive, though, because all those sniper rifles now can't knock him in one shot because he's got that level 2 helmet. So he really is at an advantage in any peak fight he has. unless he peeks into 2 people.
Ooh, nice.
He's doing a lot of damage with that gun.
That is a massive headshot. Look at that. It allows for all of them to run around. They'd only committed 1 player. So looking around that side, Donick is doing a lot of damage to try and take this into game number 5. But as he runs over, he's met by the entirety of the Hungarian team. And that might have been a little bit too much for him to handle.
Yeah, a step too far for Donick there as he tried to push in, forgetting that it's not a 2v3, not a 2v4, it's a 2v8 that he was trying to run into. So now the kills coming in favor of Hungary. Realistically, that kill advantage is probably 3 or 4 now, as those players are knocked in positions they can't really get rezzed.
You'd have to think so. It could be over and done in just a short moment, but let's not call it out before it's actually on our board. 4 versus 8. As is the remaining Polish players are extremely split out. I think it's actually just 3. I believe the guy in the rock down towards the south is knocked as well. Kresk should be down. So it's just 3, and that circle has just, I think, given Hungary the game. Yeah,
that's if they'd not already won, being 8-4 up, popped.
Yeah.
That's a bonk right there. But yeah, if you're not already up from that kill advantage, the fact that the circle then just shifts west as well.
Yeah.
Adding a bit of extra misery to Poland's game.
Not gonna happen. 8v1. Nico finds 1, goes down. There's just 1 more. If he actually was alive, Crash, you gotta land these shots though, and you gotta find 7 more kills. I do not believe it's gonna happen. They're all jumping up trying to find him. No, it's my kill. No, it's my kill. No, it's my kill. A dinosaur deserves it. No one's gonna get it yet. Oh, no, as I say that, there's 1 over the top, and there you have it. Poland is eliminated. Hungary will be your team that will proceed against Russia in a short moment. It's going to be one hell of a fight for sure, because I know for a fact Russia is a great team, but I've seen enough things from Poland to believe that they could put up a fight.
Yeah, I think we came into this expecting that Poland was maybe the slight favourites. But what we saw realistically was Hungary just had so much better teamwork. They were always playing in these groups that were trading these kills. Even here, where Poland had a bit of an early advantage, Hungary was able to find a way around, to find a way to get into the circle together. And then they just outmaneuvered the Polish team. And were able to bring back that. I think we saw a 9-kill advantage for Poland at one point. Hungary able to turn it around in their favor and close out the map and the series.
Yeah, I was not. I mean, whenever the kind of the cavalry came up to help on the hillside, I was not expecting Hungary to be able to bring that win home. I thought Poland had it. I mean, around here, look at the numbers right now, right? They have the numbers advantage, and they're not even the full team there. So I thought whenever we saw the helping players come up over the hills, I was like, yep, this is going to be Poland all the way. But then Hungary turned on the thrusters, and they managed to bring it home.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they just took too long. They had, for so long, I think it was like 1 or 2 circles, that Western group just sat doing nothing, while the team on the hillside fought valiantly to defend against the Hungarian push. And if that release force had come maybe 30, 40 seconds earlier, there was a potential that they could push the kill feed so much in their favor that it was unassailable for the Hungarian team. But Hungary found a way to take those individual gunfights against the 2 smaller groups, to get rid of one and then fight the other one on fairly equal terms, that eventually just led to them winning the map.
Exactly. 3-1 is how it's going to go down. I think it could both have been 3-0 and 2-2, I would say, because there were enough moments for both teams that they could have swung them around. Sometimes, I mean, even though it's 32v32, it could be that 1 or 2 knocks in the perfect position. You saw how much Radonic 1 knock allowed for the team in the end game there to actually push around. Unfortunately, they weren't quite there, all of them, so they couldn't really get the foot in that they wanted. But sometimes it's just that one player that can bait the attention of the entire opposing team, or one player to get that 1 knock that can open up the entire side of the map for you to push around. And I think that's what makes it interesting. It's not just all about those big brawl, who's going to win the 32v32, everyone shoots at each other. It's more of a who's going to do that one little thing that outmaneuvers the entire enemy team.
It kind of reminds me of StarCraft, where in StarCraft you have the sort of the macro games and the micro games. And Nations Royale, as a sort of game mode, is more macro orientated. It's more about your overall strategy, how you position your little kill teams around the map. And Hungary definitely felt like, at least macro-wise, they were at a much bigger advantage compared to Poland, who maybe, in terms of micro levels, had the advantage in terms of gun skill.
So question, would you prefer a Nations Royale where you drop in with loot already? You choose your loot. You say, what do you want? I want a M4 and a SLR, for example. You land, you get it, you're ready to fight. or would you prefer only as a Nations Royale thing, right? So you cannot pick crate guns. Obviously, they'll come down as they normally do. But would you prefer it without looting taken into account? Because then you'd just be landing on those compounds you want to play for late game.
Now, I think having that losing phase and forcing the teams to sort of take over the little areas of the map means that we do get those entertaining rotations. We do get those positions where it's attack versus defense that otherwise we wouldn't necessarily get with a system like that. So I think keeping that sort of essence of PUBG in it has made it to the exciting game mode that it is.
Yeah, we got the leaderboard up. Let's see exactly how things panned out. I'm going to let you say the first name of the Polish player with 8 kills. In the meantime, I will say Prorix found himself 10. So Hungary wins, and also Hungary will have the player sit on top. And only Pino and Basak had 0 kills. On the flip side, we have 5 players who never found a single.
Kerzy Shizazina got 8 kills. 8 that wasn't BGG, much easier to say with the 7. So 2 great performances by them. But I still look at that and I'm thinking 5 players from Poland had 0 kills. A lot of players also only have 1 kill. And then you look at the Hungarian side, 25 of the 32 players had more than 1 kill. So a bit of a more even spread. Yes, we had those players like Prorix with the 10 kills, but the fact that a lot of people had impact is, for me, why Hungary took that 3-1.
For sure. Couldn't agree more. And I think it's also just how do you put yourself in a position to get those kills? As we said, I mean, if you keep looking over, just go grow into it. Yes, you might be good, but if there's 6 people shooting at you, yes, you can hit 1, but odds are that 1 or 2 of the 6 shooting back at you will probably also hit a shot or 2. We can see everyone has made their way into round number 2. Finland, Sweden. That's going to be an interesting one. Norway and Turkey as well. There's some pretty good brawls coming in. Oh, United Kingdom.
Yeah. I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
Rip. UK out in the very first round.
It's because I wasn't on the team, clearly.
Oh, that's
with me,
why,
3-0 every match.
Saint, the deciding factor.
You need to Guardian 8.
Yeah, when is that ever going to be the case?
But I'm looking at that round too. There are some stacked lobbies. Germany, France is another one. Like, think about how many players we've seen from those 2 regions that have done so well at an international level. As you said, Turkey, Norway. Turkey, the reigning champions. Norway, one of the most successful countries in PUBG. So it's going to be a pretty exciting round 2.
I mean, I was talking about Greece, Russia, and Turkey as some of my favorites in the tournament, right? Look at the, like, if we call it stack A or bracket A, it's literally Russia, Greece, Finland, and Turkey.
Yeah, they were the 4.
They're all in the same. They were the 4 candidates to win it last time around, and now they're all there. We have Sweden, Norway, and Hungary and Kazakhstan in the mix as well. There are some scary teams, and maybe we can say you guys didn't qualify because you weren't there. Maybe Denmark did qualify because I wasn't. That could be the case. But that is going to be game, I guess, match number 1. We are headed over to, I believe it's going to be then Hungary versus Russia up next, and that's going to be a great fun. And also, of course, if you're one of the ones that want to stay for the long haul, or if you're just tuning in now, there is also NA matches coming up later tonight. It's going to be great fun seeing how that's going to pan on out as well. And it's going to continue all next week too. So there's plenty of Nations Royale coming your way. That was not a cue to go to break. I wanted you to say something.
I was trying to work out. Am I going to break?
No break. It's just you.
I need
There's plenty of great
wave. The break wave.
Let's try again. There's plenty of great Nations Royale coming your way, right, Luke?
Yeah, we're going to see some pretty great American games. We've got I think it was Argentina and Brazil have had a bye first round, right? In the A. So we're going to see the sort of less established countries in the South American regions, but we're also going to see USA versus Canada, I believe.
Exactly. It's gonna be good fun. But let's hear what our team captain from Hungary has to say, because we have him, as I believe, on the line right now. Silva, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Yes, you can hear us. How was the games today? You win it. Was it easy peasy, or did the Polish team put up a good fight? We will never know. Are you here, Silva?
Well,
maybe.
Hello.
I can hear him.
Hello. Here you are. Here. How did you like the fight? Was it easy, or did Poland put up a good fight?
Actually, it was a good fight. The first match looked easy, but we almost fucked up.
With that map 4, we saw opponent had a big advantage early on, but you were able to turn it around. Was there like a specific moment that you felt was that turning point?
Yes, the north rotation was the key.
Mm.
And then I played the bait. To be honest, I executed myself for the greater good.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. How? I mean, now you've played against Poland. Now you're going up against Russia. They're a pretty damn good team when it comes to Nations Royale. How are you planning on defeating them?
We analyzed the matches, so we know how to beat. But it's a secret.
Oh, it's a secret. Of course, no leaks. The stream delay isn't big enough to give away all the strats. I like it. Do you have? I gotta ask. On behalf of the Hungarian team, do you have a map that you feel like you guys are better on than the other maps?
Rangel is the map. Our
Rangel,
map.
that's the map.
Yeah.
Okay, so once that is over and done and you're ahead 1-0, what's going to be the next map that that Hungary wins on?
Maybe Miramar.
Yeah, is it
A bit of a 3-1, right? We saw the Miramar game didn't quite go in your favor. Do you think there was a particular reason why that didn't happen, or was it just a bit of an unlucky game for you?
We gave up the high ground. That's why we lost.
Yeah, but thank you so much for the insights, Silva. We are excited to see you go up against Russia in just a few. So again, yeah, thank you for sharing the info. Not all of it. We respect that you want to have some secret strategies against Russia. I completely respect that. But thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We are now, guys, going to take a short break before we head on into the next round. As we said, it's going to be Russia versus Hungary. It's going to be great fun to watch, so please don't go anywhere.